this moment in the television series When They See Us where a young Kevin Richardson is being met in jail by his family. And he's in jail because of a rape and an assault he did not commit. And at this moment, what do you say to a person? At this moment, what do you tell a person? And I was deeply touched by what his sister told him in that situation. And she says, "Find your something, Kevin. That's the trick to a happy life." And when I heard this for the first time, I realized that it was so true not only for Kevin Richardson, but that is some really, really good sound advice for anybody going through life. Today in this video, we're going to be discussing what is that something that we can find, where can we find it, and how it can save our life. Now, regardless of what we believe or choose to believe, all of us can agree, especially in this moment in 2020, that nothing is in our control. We look around at this global pandemic in a world which has everything that you could possibly ask for, all the technology, all the good healthcare, and there are still people dying, there are still people suffering from this tiny little COVID-19 virus that is spread so easily. You want to talk about control? We don't have any control. We have nothing in our control, whether it is a global disease or it is our own personal day-to-day life. There's so many things that can go wrong. And what I want to talk about is how in that circumstances can we operate? How in those circumstances can we function? How in those circumstances can we thrive? So I'm not only talking about this through my eyes or through my experiences. I'm talking about this through the experiences of others who have gone before me, especially a man called Viktor Frankl. So if you don't know about Viktor Frankl, he is a neurologist. He was a neurologist, a psychiatrist, and he was also a Holocaust survivor. He came up with this theory called logotherapy, and that literally means healing through meaning. And that was his whole life study. And he also could see it in work in the Nazi concentration camps that he was a part of and that he survived. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of logotherapy. You can look into it yourself. One of the books that I read is Man's Search for Meaning, and so you can go into that and do your own research into logotherapy if you want to. But what I want to take away from that book and share with you is the fact that the same words that Kevin's sister told Kevin is the same thing that Viktor Frankl says in his old book, and that is, find your something. And what that something is, let's break it down. He talks about a few things, and I'm going to talk about two of them. The first thing that he talks about is doing a deed for others or creating some kind of work. So it's strange how the first thing to keep yourself sane, to anchor yourself in a situation that seems overwhelming, is to actually look outside yourself. And even though it sounds completely counterproductive, though it sounds completely insane, why would I think about somebody else when I'm in pain? Why would I think about somebody else when I'm the one suffering, when I'm the one in this chaos? But then when you actually think about it, focusing your mind on something other than what you're actually going through is obviously going to help you. Even for himself, he had actually done a lot of research, being a neurologist and a psychiatrist, and that research was in a book or like papers. And when he went into the concentration camp, obviously they took away those papers from him. He tried to hide it, but I think in the end, eventually he lost it somewhere. So his entire time in that camp went into wanting to recreate his work, his life's work, and wanting to write it down all over again, to remember it all over again, just so that once he gets out, he can share it with the world. That was his work. That was his something. Even if I look at my life in the moments where I have been in the worst situations, when I have been at bottom, I remember creating things, writing things down, sharing things with the world, just doing something that required me to not look inward so much, but to look at what I could do. And that gave me meaning, that gave me purpose, that gave me something to do with my life. Doing something for other people, serving other people, spending time with other people also helps a lot in finding your something, because it's very easy to shut yourself off, to sit inside yourself, sit alone and wallow in self-pity about what's going on and why your life is a mess. But the minute you look outside yourself, the minute you look at your neighbor and talk to your neighbor, your entire sense of why me goes out the window, just because your focus has changed. It's like putting on a pair of glasses after never wearing glasses all your life and realizing that you haven't been seeing clearly this whole time. I think that's what happens when you turn your attention outward, and that's one of the ways we can find our something and anchor ourselves in that, and that carries us through uncertain times. The second way he talks about to find our something is by experiencing something or by encountering someone. He recollects a lot of stories in the Nazi concentration camps where many people were alive, many people were pushing through the pain and the suffering and the hopelessness by reminding themselves of their loved ones, by reminding themselves of their parents, of their children, of their wives, of their husbands, and that is what carried them through. Love carried them through, and the whole time they were reminding themselves that they just had to get through this one day so that they could see their loved ones. Maybe they would see them the next day. And that's all it took to help them push through the day of hard work, push through the day of hunger, push through the day of suffering and pain. Just that thought that they would be able to meet their loved ones. So that was one of the main examples he gave, and I think that is one very valid example of finding that something, that when you have someone you love, when you have someone you care about, oftentimes your own suffering, your own pain reduces, just because you're again not looking at yourself, you're looking at the other person, you're looking at another life. And so that experiencing that love for people is very important. That's where it's also important to maintain relationships with people, even though your life might be falling apart. When you maintain those relationships with people, it's easier to find meaning, it's easier to find that last push that you need to keep going, because you know there's someone out there looking out for you, there's someone out there who cares for you, there's someone out there you care for, and you have to get through this time for them. I believe that we all need that something in our life. I believe that we all need that kind of meaning in our life, and whether it is through our loved ones, whether it is through our faith, whether it is through our works, whether it is through our good deeds in the community, whether it is through anything that gives us some kind of meaning and reason to live, we really need that meaning, we really need that purpose, because not every day is the easiest, not every day is the best, not every day is according to our plan. We'll have good days and we'll have bad days, we'll have highs and we'll have lows. But through it all, when we can anchor ourselves in something, anchor ourselves in that something that doesn't change, that's what is going to get us through any kind of change in our life, any kind of situation where we feel that we're losing control, where we feel like we're drowning. Those are the situations where we need those anchors the most. And if you look at your life, you will realize when those situations were. You will realize that maybe you're going through a similar situation right now. And if you are, anchoring yourself in something, finding your something is so important, because if you don't anchor yourself, you'll drift. And if you drift, there's threat of so many things. I know a lot of you watching this might be feeling that way, that it's hard to get up right now, and I don't know why you stumble across this video. But wherever you are, whatever you are doing, whatever you are going through, all I can say to you through this camera, through this video, is that as long as we have every single day something that is anchoring us, that is centering us, that is reminding us of who we are, I think we can go through anything. I'm not saying that you're not going to be sad, I'm not saying that there's not going to be tears, but you're not going to lose your way. You're not going to feel, why am I here? You're not gonna question your existence because you have that something that anchors you. And that something can be completely different for you, it will be completely different for me. But as long as I can get up every single day, knowing in my heart of hearts, even if I sometimes have to remind myself of it, knowing that I do have a purpose, there is a reason for my existence, I think that in itself can carry me through circumstances that I cannot control. That's all I want to say in this video. I hope that I wasn't all over the place, that I was able to convey what was on my heart. And if you want me to talk more about this, about how do we find our center when things go out of control, how do we find our something, how do we find meaning in a life that is completely chaotic, then I would be happy to do more videos on that. But I think this is a good start. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your time, which is very valuable, and I'll see you next week.